sorry, I'm going to be late. Please welcome David Lurie.
I'm a bit confused. I sent Vanessa a text message, and she seems to put it down as my speech title. But I was convinced I was going to be late. You see, I got some bad news earlier today. My mother-in-law's died. And in a completely unrelated turn up for the books, I had to go and get a dent removed from the front of my car. You know what it's like? You just go along to a garage and you take your car in, and I went in, I thought it was just going to be a bit of body work, you know, just one of those suction things you see on JML. And, you know, he said after 5 minutes, yes, you're going to need some body work done. And after 5 minutes more, oh, I think you need a new radiator. Another 5 minutes, oh, it's a new engine. Five more minutes, I needed the whole of the front of my car replaced, and then it was 4 new tyres and a new exhaust. He ended up saying I should just get rid of the car and get a new one. So I stole his. I drove down the road, quickly. Found myself daydreaming a bit. And my phone rang. I put on my trusty Bluetooth headset, and I pressed the button. Hello? It was the mechanic. I thought he was going to be really annoyed that I'd stolen his car, but actually, he just said to me, David, I haven't filled up the car with petrol for 3 days, and I think you might run out somewhere strange. I think the car was listening to me. I felt it judder. Judder again. Judder once more, and ran out of petrol. Had just enough time to pull to the side of the road. Now, I'd really been daydreaming. Have you ever been going down a motorway and you suddenly think, where's the last 30 minutes gone? It was one of those situations. I got out, I had no idea where I was, but in the distance, I saw a small village. So I slowly started to walk towards the village. I saw shapes in the distance, and I thought, oh, it's people. I can ask them where I am. I walked up to the first person-shaped thing that I saw, and I said, excuse me, do you know where the nearest petrol station is? There was silence. I said, do you know where I am? There was silence. I said, do you know the way to Guildford? There was complete and utter silence. I realised I wasn't wearing my glasses, and I popped them on. I was talking to a tree. I turned around back in the direction of the village, and again I saw people in the distance. I was a bit scared for my eyesight and my sanity at this point, and I thought it might be a scarecrow, but as I slowly stepped nearer, I saw them moving around. I realised it was a person. I went up to them, and I said, excuse me, do you know where the nearest petrol station is? There was silence. I said, do you know where I am? There was silence. I said, do you know the way to Guildford? And they said, excusez-moi, monsieur, je ne parle pas l'anglais. I was very confused. How did I get to Germany? I didn't remember going under the Eurotunnel. I wasn't daydreaming that much. I turned around and I headed in the other direction. And there in the distance, I don't know how I didn't notice it, there was the greatest sign I have ever seen. And there it was, a red star saying, Texaco. I went and filled up my jerry can with petrol and took the long walk back to my car. Filled up the car and again drove back to the petrol station. Jerry cans are heavy. And filled up the car with petrol, bought some chocolate to keep me going, long time till dinner, and I headed up the road to Guildford. I finally got here just before the Tall Tales contest, but I couldn't find any parking. It's a nightmare parking down in that road. Absolute nightmare. So I went all the way down the end of the road, down North Street, round the end, and I parked outside, I've forgotten where I parked. So I parked and I started heading up the road. As I was heading up the road, I saw Barclays and I thought, oh, hang on, The speech I'm giving at the Tall Tales competition is on how to rob a bank. And I thought, ooh, I haven't been in a bank in years. I use telephone and internet banking. I better go in and see what they're like. I took a step towards the bank door, and the doors opened. I took another step towards the bank door, and suddenly, bang! A man ran straight into me, and there I was, lying flat on my back on the ground. I looked up. I was very confused. The man was wearing a balaclava. I looked down. I looked up again. He had a black bag with swag on it. I was more confused. He'd stolen my props for my speech. Suddenly, the bank manager ran out, hauled the guy up from the floor, and said, "David!" Somehow he knew my name, I'm a good customer. And he said, "David, you saved us from having our bank robbed. We're so grateful. Let me give you a reward. He offered me the best reward someone who's just started up a company could have. Free business banking for life. And a checkbook with clowns on it. He called the mayor. The mayor came along. He gave me the keys to Guildford City, although he did say he has to have them back tomorrow because his Auntie Ethel's coming to visit. I finally made it out of Barclays Bank, headed up the road, and walked up those doors just in time to give my speech. Now, thank you for listening to my apology for why I'm late, and I'd now like to start my Tall Tales speech. Thank you.